I always had, like, nightmares, and so I think for me, like, I couldn't tell reality from my dreams, because I've always been a very lucid dreamer. Like, everything that I dream, I feel is real life. So when I wake up, I, like, am very, very disoriented, very confused.
I think a lot of times survivors tend to feel a lot of guilt about things, like, should I have done something different, or was it real, or was it not, or all the things that you feel. The bottom line is you didn't make yourself feel that way. You would never have to even think about those things if it wasn't for what this person was doing.
But there's always just like little shreds of hope that I can think of, and I'm just like, I don't know, I would never wish this feeling upon anybody to feel this way. And I know that, like, if I did end up doing something permanent, then, like, my whole family would feel like that. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want to wish that on any of them.
Welcome back to part 2 with these wonderful crazy girls of mine, Maddie and Gracie. Today we're going to talk about the rest. We're going to kind of talk about some of the things some of the darker times, and then also some of the things that they've learned, how individually and together we can grow and help each other, but also how to help ourselves. So hope you enjoy part 2. Yeah, you kind of embraced like that whole together with other people thing. Mm-hmm. Didn't bug you as much, but you were little, and you're also you're very affectionate. You like the warmth and connection and the whole thing. So that I can see that. And Maddie's a little pricklier. You know, it takes her a little more time to warm up. Not with me. You've always been like really close and affectionate with me, but overall, you're a little pricklier.
A little moodier, you know.
Yeah. But and Gracie, I think we've always been really close too, but you're able to warm up to people that are affectionate to you, mm-hmm. So I think and those are all really good traits. They're just different personalities. Mm-hmm. But as things progressed, as time went on, you kind of, you guys I was building a life on one side, your mom's building a life on the other side. Started moving I moved a couple times until we ended up in our house that we're in now, which I love, and we have a whole bunch of goats, which I know you guys really love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. What do you love so much about the goats?
Is it milking them, or the chores, or the part where you have to give them hay all the time? Is that your favorite? Or?
How about mucking out the barn?
Yeah.
That's probably the best part.
My favorite part of the goats is me pawning off my chores and getting new chores, so I didn't have to take care of them. That's my favorite part of the goats.
Yeah, and then not doing them when you're supposed to.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We might have to go back to the goat chores. We'll see how the house looks tonight when we get there. Really good. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. On the other side, there were some developments. You guys, your mom moved in or did they move in together before they got married?
No.
But he had stayed, but he would stay late and stuff, but he never slept over. I think because I made the rules. I was very set. Yeah, I was very set. I was like, no, he's not staying at our house until you're married. Like, I was the one that made those rules. Because I don't think my mom really cared. She's pretty relaxed, and I don't think any of the other kids would have thought anything about it. But I just, I just knew what I wanted, and I told her I was going to live with my dad if he moved in, so.
When they were engaged, though, they did, like, he started staying there one day. Like, he started sleeping over.
But I don't think we were there.
Yeah, we were.
Oh. I don't remember.
But he had access to you guys, overnights and things like that a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, he had house key. He was allowed to be in whenever. I think it was just for my sake that he didn't stay.
Did you ever feel unsafe?
There were times for me that I did, but I think I'm a very anxious person, so anytime I feel anything's off, I don't feel safe, so.
Yeah. How about you, Gracie? You were just happy. And he was somebody that you could, be close to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely someone that had came in and, like, helped me a lot with, like, my mental health, and he knew everything about me. Like, I was very close with him. I think, like, even at the very beginning, like, Caleb and Abby and Maddie didn't really like him, but I just loved him, and I was very, very close with him from the start. So I never really felt, like, unsafe with him. I guess I always found him as, like, a safe place, also because he always told us that he was going to be there to protect us and help us through everything. So I definitely found him as, like, a safe place. I never really felt unsafe with him or around him or anything, so.
Did you feel there was some betrayal of all that at some point, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in case you guys, I don't want to have them say a whole lot about this, but there was some inappropriate behavior that was happening during that time to these two, and it had gone on for a few months. Is that what it was?
For me, it was like the duration of like 2 years-ish. So.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And during that time, were you still feeling like close to him, or were you starting to feel scared?
I definitely would feel scared, but I would push that feeling back because I wanted to feel safe with him, and I wanted to feel that same like love that I always did. So I definitely would still like try to have that connection with him, but I definitely would more like self-isolate, and I'd sit in my room more. I wouldn't hang out with him as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I definitely still tried to like have that connection with him and push back what was happening, but
Yeah, I was going to say I noticed a lot of distance near the end. I think during the beginning, I think it was, I don't know, I didn't ever notice, but I did definitely notice that near the end, you were a lot more not you. You know, you were quiet, you were reserved, you weren't as cuddly, you weren't as, weren't as warm, I would say. Like, you just kind of had like a little bit of your light kind of dimmed a little bit. And so I think that people around could notice that,
Yeah.
Yeah. My sweet little Gracie changed. I didn't know what was happening, but you were changing, and I thought, well, maybe she's just turning into a teenager and, getting different emotions and that sort of thing. But, now that I know what was happening, it's easy to identify the change, the change in you especially, because you are, personality-wise, are a bit softer than Maddie is. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing, but you became harder, and more, withdrawn in that, right? How were you feeling? How were you feeling? Did you feel, you wanted to feel love, you wanted to care and sort of just like pretend that wasn't happening and be a part of the, have what you had with him?
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of I guess I just wanted to push everything back because, like, he had showed so much love towards me. So the whole time I was just like, well, I'm just going to push everything back that's happening. And I kind of, like, brought myself to believe that it wasn't actually happening. So I just told myself, no, it's not real. Like, it's not actually happening. And I definitely could feel myself, like, becoming somebody different through it because, like, I guess I was always, like, cuddling with you or, like, Maddie or, like, I was always just, like, with somebody. And always just, like, my love language is physical touch. So I'm always just, like, I would always be, like, cuddling with somebody or hugging someone. But when it came to it, like, I just couldn't, like, I couldn't really be near people. And when I was, like, I would kind of have to, like, force myself upon that because I didn't want people to think that anything was going on. So, I don't know. Like, I was trying to act the same as I used to, but I guess, like, it kind of got to a point where I just stopped trying at all, and I just kind of isolated myself and became kind of a whole different person, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you were pretty different. My sweet little soft girl was different. It was hard to watch. I didn't know what it was, and now I look back on it, and it was, it's hard for me to think about as a dad. So I wish I could have changed it. I wish I could have changed that for you. Maddie, things were happening on your side too.
Mm-hmm.
You handled it differently, but tell me how you were.
I guess for me, a lot of it, I always had, like, nightmares, and so I think for me, like, I couldn't tell reality from my dreams, because I've always been a very lucid dreamer. Like, everything that I dream, I feel is real life. So when I wake up, I, like, am very, very disoriented, very confused. So, I don't know, I think there was a lot of confusion, and it caused me to not be able to trust him, so I don't know, it was weird, though, because he'd become, like, one of my very best friends, we did a lot of things together. He very supportive. He pushed me to be, like, my best version of myself, in the gym, in real life, like, in everything. So, yeah, he'd become someone I trusted very, very much, through I don't know, because we started off very, very distant. Obviously, I was very angry, and after that, I just, like, I don't know, I learned how to trust him. You know, he told me that I could, and he became a father figure to me. He taught me how to change a tire, like, all the things. He tried to teach me how to drive. Like, he was, you know, he did a lot of dad things that you also did, you know? So he became someone that I really, really trusted, and so I think it was really confusing for me to try to figure out what was reality and what wasn't, and I, you know, come to the conclusion that it wasn't real, you know, that I was just dreaming, and, you know, all the things. And so I think it was hard that when everything kind of went down and I had to figure out that it was real, I think it was hard for me because it was like reliving it all over again, you know, except through a different lens. It was like I had already lived it, but it wasn't real, so it was okay. And then I had, like, relived that twice because I'd live it in my brain and then figure out that it wasn't fake, you know? So I think that was hard for me. It was, I don't know, that was, like, probably the biggest betrayal in my life. Like, you know, that you learn to trust someone so much. Like, I literally trusted him with my life. You know, I was alone with him all the time, and, I don't know, like, I don't know, it's still kind of hard. It's still weird, because I think a lot of me's moved on from that, and I've, you know, processed a lot of it, and, you know, I've been in therapy, I've done a lot of things, but I think there's still, I wouldn't say anger, but there's still confusion, you know, there's still a lot of things that I don't understand, but I don't know, it was all a hard situation, so.
Well, don't blame yourself. Like, people that are like that, they know exactly what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They know how to get you to trust them and how to get your guard down, mm-hmm. so that things like that don't feel like they're as wrong as they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it feels like you can push it away because you know he loves you and that kind of stuff. They're really good at that. That's what they do, mm-hmm. you know? And so as much as I think a lot of times survivors tend to feel a lot of guilt about things like, should I have done something different, or was it real, or was it not, or all the things that you feel. The bottom line is you didn't make yourself feel that way. You would never have to even think about those things if it wasn't for what this person was doing. Yeah. It would have just been those feelings were brought to you. You didn't create them, right? Mm-hmm. And so don't ever feel like it was something that if you would have done something different, you know, or that it's your fault that it happened, it's not anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's very common for survivors to feel guilt about things that happen to them in their lives. Mm-hmm. So I am really proud of you guys. I know it's been a really difficult road for all of us, but especially for the things that you guys have had to go through. Makes me proud to see you two sitting here strong. But there's been some times in very recent times where we've seen some dips in how things have gone, right, mm-hmm. since then. So obviously things changed after that happened. I brought you to my house for months before we got things figured out, and you're not allowed to be around that person anymore. So that's kind of been taken out, but it doesn't take away the fact that all went down the way that it did, right? Mm-hmm. Things are different now. And so, you know, for me as a dad, I do my best to just be the guy that I've always been, that you can trust and rely on and put your head on and hug and all the things, right? Mm-hmm. Does it feel like, especially for you, Gracie, who's, you know, I know for a while you didn't even want to hug me. Like you were distant from me, and normally you'd just be in my lap all the time. Do you feel like that's changing a little bit, or do you still feel pretty distant? How does your mind deal with all that?
I know for me, like, I'll go through phases of being, like, wanting to just be around everybody again, want to just, like, be cuddling or hugging someone, but then sometimes, like, I just can't let people touch me at all. And sometimes, like, that's definitely something that's hard for other people to understand, because, like, even at school, like, I'll be like, hey, like, I don't really want to hug right now, and people, like, let me just give you a hug. And, like, I don't want to have to explain to everybody about what happened, because obviously it's a hard topic to talk about. And so it's definitely something that like I struggle with still, because I'll go through very bad phases where I just don't want to be around anyone. I can't talk to anyone. I can't like touch anyone. I can't let anyone touch me. And that's definitely something that's still hard. But like then also I go through phases of I'll want to hug everybody all the time, and then I'll feel like disgusted after because of that. And then that's when I start going through the phase of like I can't touch anyone and no one can touch me, you know.
And a couple times in the last 2 or 3 years, you've gotten to a pretty low point. What happened?
I don't know. I feel like definitely a lot of built up emotions from a lot of different things, just like things mentally that I'm going through, hating myself, hating things that have happened to me and blaming myself for it. I've just like kind of gotten to a point where I'm like, I can't take this anymore. And even like just for a long time, I've always had thoughts of just being like, I don't want to be here anymore. But it's definitely like sometimes gets to a point where I'm just like, I'm going to act upon my thoughts that I don't want to be here anymore. And sometimes I'll plan it. I'll plan a day, and then that day that I plan it, I can call someone and I'll be like, hey, like I'm having these thoughts, and like sometimes people can stop me, and sometimes I can't reach out to anyone, or I feel like I'm not able to talk to anybody about it. And I just get to a point where I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I will, yeah.
And twice you got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And last time we were there was just not that long ago.
It's about a month ago.
Yeah. And they recommended for you to actually go to an inpatient facility. You guys, there's a lot of resources out there for your kids. If you're, for you parents, your kids, there's a lot of resources. For kids, there's a lot of resources where you don't have to get to that point. You call 988, you go to UT Safe, right? SafeUT, and you can chat or talk with somebody immediately. So never run out of people that you can try to reach out to. If you feel like you can't reach out to your family at that point, or to some friends, or they're not able to, you can't reach them, get somebody, tell somebody, right? Because in these critical moments where you're at a point, any of you, whether you're adults or kids, but especially, the kids out there, it can feel really like you're really lost, and your parents are sitting downstairs in their room, and maybe you can't talk to them. Maybe you've tried and they don't listen, but maybe you should try again and let your parents know how you are. But if that is something that you just can't do, don't ever let it get to a point where you feel lost enough to do something permanent, because it's hard on everybody around. When I say hard, it's heartbreaking to know that as a parent that your kid is hurting that bad. It's hard as a kid to feel so lost. And then a permanent thing that happens, if it actually happened and you were no longer here, that those ripples would never stop. Be feeling that for the rest of our lives, right? So don't ever feel like you're out of resources. We talked about this last week. You can call somebody, 988, SafeUT. Make sure that you're, the veterans out there, there's a veterans crisis line, or you can just call 988. Same exact thing. All these resources are there, and they will help direct you to therapists and things, right? Because we need to be able to take care of ourselves, right? Right now, we're waiting to get you into a pretty intensive outpatient therapy. The inpatient thing was scary for me as a dad. I was worried about, electric shock and padded rooms and straight jackets, and I don't know what to expect. It scared me to say, I'm going to send her into this thing, and I didn't know, how that looked. Looking back, I don't know. Was that a bad decision or a good decision? I don't know. I think you're going to be fine. I don't think you want to die, right? Tell me that. You're feeling okay, like you're good right now. Even if you're not, like, but you're not going to go home, and you're able to wait for an outpatient deal to try to get better.
Yeah.
If not, tell me, because we can figure that out. We got a padded room, all ready for you.
It's okay.
All right. I just want to know that you're feeling like what, the resource that you have, that it's coming, and that you're able to get better and to feel better, and that you have people that you can call even right now to feel better. Is that something that feels comforting to you, at least a little bit?
Yeah, but I mean, like, definitely still, like, every day it does cross my mind where I'm just like, maybe things would be better if I wasn't here. But there's always, like, little things I can kind of put into my mind where I'm just like, I just need to hold on for a little bit longer, and then I'll be okay once I can start getting, like, some serious help, because obviously it's not normal to think about, like, doing stuff every day, about wanting to just end your life every day. It's not normal to think like that. But there's always just, like, little shreds of hope that I can think of, and I'm just like, I don't know, I would never wish this feeling upon anybody to feel this way, and I know that, like, if I did end up doing something permanent, then, like, my whole family would feel like that, and I wouldn't want to wish that on any of them, so.
Well, hold on to what you need to hold on to, and we're all here for you, and help is coming. There's a lot of mental health issues out there. A lot of people struggling. Lots. I mean, more than any other time in history. And the reason for that is not because we're weaker as a human race, but because this world is not designed for humans to be healthy in it. It's too fast. It's too much. It's too stimulating. All of the things. Back 100 years ago, people were riding horses, right? They were going 15 miles an hour, and that was fast, right? Now we drive at 100 miles an hour, 90 or 80, if you want to get pulled over. You can drive at 70 if you don't want to get pulled over, right? 70. So, but our brains are not designed to go. The internet it's too much information. We're not designed. We're constantly in a fight or flight. You know what I mean? So we're not weaker. We just have more to deal with now. And you guys as kids have way, way more to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's, I want you, we're all here. But the reason why these programs are so, there's a waiting period is because so many people need those things. Yeah. So grab onto the little things each day that make you feel good about where your life is, right? And if you got to come talk to your daddy, of course I'm here, right? But your siblings are there. Everyone's here for you. You guys, there's always somebody out there that loves you, always. Even if it's a stranger at the end of a phone, they're going to care and love you in that moment and help you. There's always somebody around, but you have so many people around you that love you. You always need to remember that. And you're right. It would make us feel awful if that happened, but that's not the reason. I want you to feel good. We just need to get you to a place where you're not, where you're feeling good. And it's a journey. Mental health is a journey. There's no destination. We're never going to be just every day, all day. Yeah. It's not going to happen, right? But we work on it together, right? Maddie, how about you? Tell me, like, you had a similar situation happen to you. It's been, 3 years now?
Something like that, yeah.
Since that happened. Tell me about, like, how you got to that point, how you were feeling.
So I am bipolar, and I struggle with anxiety as well, so I think that's a kind of a hard combination. So I experience really high highs and really low lows. So it's constantly up and down, ebbs and flows all the time. And obviously when there's stressors in your life, like, you experience a lot more lows. It's easy to, be sad, but then mental health doesn't help, So I started experiencing a little bit of sadness was what had happened in my life, I just felt like a lot had happened within the, 2 years since the divorce, just, within that, just it was a lot that happened, And So you get a little bit sad, and normal people, I mean, not normal, but, you know, people that don't struggle with bipolar can feel a normal level of sadness, you know. And with me, it's like I get sad and just all the way down, you know, rock bottom, all the way sad. You know, there's no, like, I'm never at a good medium. It's just completely down. So I think that was kind of like rock bottom for me. I'd really hit, like a really low, and I just was like, hey, well, like, Grace at that point, kind of the only person that would really understand, you know, what had happened and, like, understand me and my emotions. Like, she kind of shut down. She was doing her own thing, and I could tell she was struggling, you know, and me being the older sister, I'm not going to go cry to my baby sister, you know, and because I just felt like that was weak, and I didn't want to be the big girl crying to the little girl, you know, and so I just kind of, like, I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't say I was quite as isolated as Grace. I'm more, I think I'm better at kind of, I don't know quite the way to describe how I process things or how I cope, but I would say it's definitely different. And so, I don't know, normally I'm pretty open. Our house is really open with mental health conversations because we all struggle with something, and I'm pretty sure every single one of my siblings struggles with anxiety at bare minimum, so we all understand each other with that. But I just didn't think anyone would understand me, and so I ended up overdosing and went to the hospital, and I remember being there, and I don't honestly remember a lot of what had happened. I think the drugs I took weren't anything that was going to make me die, but I think that I was so shocked that I, like, kind of blacked out. I don't remember much of that night, and I do remember kind of, like, waking up from my, like, you know, daze or whatever you would call it, like, just kind of waking up from my little coma moment, like, blackout, and was really confused. I remember, you know, both you and Mom were quite emotionally, like, high. You know, it was a lot. I didn't really understand what was going on, and I don't know, I think I went home, and I realized, like, that was, I don't know, I could see how, I don't know, I remember my siblings all hugging me, saying they loved me, and, you know, I don't know, I just realized that people would rather hear me talk than go to my funeral. You know, I would rather, and I would rather that for my sister too. Like, if she was struggling, I'd rather her come and talk to me till 4 a.m. when I'm so tired I could just fall over and die, than literally end up at her funeral, you know. And so I realized, like, if I feel that for someone, there's someone that feels that for me, you know. And so, I don't know, I guess that for me was kind of like a wake-up call to really get in check with my mental health, because I realized that I was at a point where I couldn't manage it on my own. And so soon after that, I started medications, and at the time, I'd been told by a therapist that I'd been told by several therapists at this point in my life. Like, right now, I've been told by several therapists that they thought I was bipolar, but at that point in time, they weren't quite sure. And so I was diagnosed with depression, which is pretty basic. You know, you get really sad, and that's, you know, what people assume is you're depressed. And so I got diagnosed with that, and I got a medication for that. I got on one for anxiety, and then I also got one for ADHD, because I have ADHD. So I was on a bunch of medications, and when you take them consistently, they work really well. And so I was doing really, really well for about a year after that. I was consistently taking them. I was doing really, really good. And then life gets busy, and you forget to take them. And sometimes it's a couple days, and it's a couple weeks, and you feel low again. You know, start getting a little bit imbalanced. And then the up and down of starting to take them and not taking them, it makes it even worse. So I don't know. I think I'd experience more ups and downs, but yeah, then I just found medications that work for me, and when I take them consistently, they work really well. And so now I'm doing a lot better. But at the time, I think people are really hesitant to take medications due to the side effects, and I think, which is normal. You know, every medication you're going to react to differently, but I advise it. Like, when people tell me that they struggle really, really severely all the time, I tell my friends that they should talk to a doctor, because I think, and a lot of people are ashamed of medication and think that it's not the right way, but modern medicine is literally beautiful. It has worked wonders for me in my life, and I know without it that I would probably be, I don't know, I honestly don't know where I would be. As a 14-year-old, I didn't think I would be alive at 18, so I didn't think that I'd be living, so I think medication, in a way, did save my life. And I think without it, that I probably wouldn't be alive, quite honestly. So
It's actually a really good point, and a lot of people feel like, so there's a big misconception that talking to somebody about how we feel, taking medications that maybe not everybody needs to take, that those things are weak, that they are weaknesses, right? What I tell you when you were in the hospital last, what's the strong thing to do? to talk, right? That's the strong, that, I mean, it feels counterintuitive because we're asking for help, but that doesn't mean that we're weak.
Yeah.
That means that we're strong enough to see past where our mind is at that moment to reach out for help. It takes strength to reach out, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take any strength to it's the weak route to not ask for help, to not take a medication. So many people fight against medication, even simple things like taking an ibuprofen for pain. Mm-hmm. You're right about the fact that you guys, you know, we live in a miraculous time, even though it is bedlam outside, right? It's a crazy world that we live in. Mm-hmm. There are some huge, huge upsides, right? Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, like, I have had high blood pressure since I was a teenager. Yeah. I'd be dead right now without modern medicine. I wouldn't have, like, I'd probably have some sort of stroke or embolism, something crazy, right? Yeah. Because I have such high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. I'd be dead without modern medicine. Yeah. I know it. I have, you know, my blood pressure goes up to 200, you know, over whatever, 120, I think it was one time I measured it. Yeah. I'd be dead without it. All of us with these things, these sort of things that are perceived as weaknesses, they're not, they're just conditions. Mm-hmm. And over the eons, do you think they still had these conditions? Yeah. Maybe not as much because the world was much slower, yeah. So there were fewer things to deal with. Mm-hmm. But people have had this forever, and they've just had to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Really, this hasn't become a prevalent thing until the last maybe 30 years, yeah. Where people can start talking about how they feel, and they've created medicines that help people to balance and feel normal. Mm-hmm. So do the strong thing, right? And it's not weak to take advantage of the miracles of modern medicine, yeah. To take advantage of, like, therapy tactics that people have, that people can talk to you about. Even to be able to have a phone that we carry with us in times of crisis, where we can dial 988 from a phone that we carry with us, right? That's a miracle of what we have today, right? We have somebody at the touch of a button that can help, yeah. Right? So we can't feel weak, because it does feel, that's always my problem. The reason I started this podcast is because I realized at some point, very recently, that it's actually strong to talk about these things, yeah. Because it empowers other people to talk about them, you know? Yeah. So, and I've had people talk to me since, it's not even just saying, I've decided that I'm going to speak more about how I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. I could stop this podcast right now and say, that's what I wanted, just one person. Yeah. But really, the people that are closest to me are the ones that I want to talk the most, you know? Mm-hmm. I love everybody out there. Every single one of you have, like, incredible value. People love you. I love you. But these are mine right here, you know? And I have 4 others, believe it or not. These are just 2 of the crazy brood that we, are. But these are my people. And you guys are the ones I want to know that you can, if it's not me that you talk to, dial the number. Mm-hmm. Talk to somebody. Be heard. Advocate for yourself. Yeah. Maddie, you learned that just recently. Mm-hmm. How to really advocate for yourself when you went to your doctor appointment. Yeah. And tell her what you were feeling.
So, because of the therapist, like, I had basically kind of just accepted that I was bipolar. So I've known for years that I was, and I really resonated with that diagnosis from that therapist. But I never went to a doctor because I had already been diagnosed with depression, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I was racking up all these things. I don't want to be, psycho. And so I just kind of started in therapy with several therapists. I'd been working through that. So for about, 4 years now, I would say, I've already known that. So I've just kind of been working through that, processing that, really trying to, be the best version of myself mentally that I can be, And so, but I just hadn't got that diagnosis from a doctor, officially. So I'd had it from a therapist, but therapists can't really diagnose you, really, truly. And so I went into my doctor, and she's like, well, it says here on your chart you have depression, so it's normal for you to experience lows. And I just said, I know, but it just doesn't feel like the right diagnosis. I just never resonated with that, because I'm not a sad person. I'm really not. It's just, and I do get really, really happy, It's just that I don't feel like that. I don't reach an equilibrium. I'm just always up or I'm always down, And so I was just like, it just doesn't feel right. I just kept telling her, and she's like, well, we can give you something for depression and see if it helps, and if it doesn't help, then we'll go from there. And I said, I know it's not, I know I'm not depression, like, I know I don't have depression, I'm not a depressed person, like, that's just not me. And so I said that I really wanted to be tested for bipolar. I told her, and I said, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, I don't want to, you're a doctor, I know that, but I want to take the test and see what you think. And so she gave me, I had taken one as a kid, but they just ruled it as depression because I have ADHD too, and some of the symptoms kind of kind of go together. So they had ADHD and depression, and I took that as a kid, but I had taken an adult one because I just turned 18, so they give you the adult tests now, and they confirmed I have ADHD, obviously general anxiety, I've had that forever, and then they told me that based on the test that I did have bipolar, and I didn't want to be like, told you so, but it felt good because it was like, yeah, I knew I knew what was right. I knew that was me, because I know my brain better than anyone. Whether a doctor thinks they know your brain better, anyone, even your parents. Like, you know yourself better than anyone knows you.
So it's good. Like, you have to advocate for yourself. Otherwise, you're right. You know yourself better than anyone else. You know how you feel. You know exactly. Maybe it's hard to articulate it, but just starting to talk about it, especially when you're younger, it's hard to identify. You don't know the things, but when you start to talk about it, people that do know can start to maybe decipher a little bit about what you're saying. Yeah. It's like trying to, tell a kid, point to where it hurts, on this doll. It's kind of the same thing when you don't know how you're feeling, but you can try to start describing it, then you can zero in on, the issues that are out there. Gracie, I think you've had a hard time, like your whole life, you've sort of had a hard time. You're the fourth kid in a, group of 6, right? Is that right? Yeah, fourth. And then of the 4 of you guys, you kind of were like the little caboose girl, So you've sort of just toiled in the background, I would say, which is I think a lot of the reason why you loved affection, because it was your way of getting, that's how you liked to get attention. But you've also never really developed that ability to like speak up, right, and be heard. Because that was your position. That's just kind of where you were. And that's really not your personality to be loud and like, hey, look at me kind of thing. Yeah. Sometimes you'd be a little punk to try to get attention. Like, you were quite the handful, a little devious girl. But as far as like advocating, it's something it's difficult for everyone to learn. They learn it in a different way, how to do those things. Are you starting to feel like you can say, this is what I need?
I don't really know. I feel like that's definitely still one of my hardest struggles, is like when people ask if I'm okay, so I'll be like, yeah, I'm doing great. Like I definitely still need to work on like being able to open up and tell people, hey, I'm not really doing okay. And like I need help with this or I need help with that, or like even just with little things, like not even necessarily like doing okay, but like if I'm even having like trouble reading or something like that, I still like have trouble like reaching out to my teacher and being like, hey, like I'm having trouble reading this, like I need help understanding, or like just little things like that. I definitely still like am not very good at like advocating for myself, but like I guess definitely when it comes to other people though, I'm very good at like helping out other people and like advocating for others, just not so much myself. And I feel like that definitely comes from like I'm an empath, so I help everyone else and I feel so much emotions like towards everyone else, and I feel bad for everyone and like all this kind of stuff. And I guess that also like is part of it, is I just want to help everyone else before I help myself. So that definitely is a part of it.
It's funny that you say that, because even as a dad, like I there are things that I miss, and you're right about that. Like it's you're always sort of just thinking about people. I mean, all of you guys are really sympathetic and willing to help other people and that sort of thing, but there is such a thing as being too empathetic, and it might sound a little weird, maybe a little selfish, but let me explain. You only have so much of yourself. Look at it as like a bucket, right? And it's full when we are born, and each and every day you give of yourself, but you also need to be able to receive stuff that fills that bucket back up, right? And people that are empathetic, sometimes they're empathetic to a fault, right? They spend so much time thinking about other people and helping other people, it's a great thing to do that, but they forget that their own bucket is just getting emptier and emptier and emptier. And at some point, you reach the bottom of that bucket, right? And there's nothing left to give, and you haven't received anything. You don't have any way of receiving it. It's empty. And that's a lot of times, I think, if people, we have to focus on ourselves, whether it's, therapy. I think everyone should be in therapy at some point and should continuously have a check-in. I go to the gym every day. It's the same thing. We got to keep our minds tuned up the same as our bodies. But you have to be able to spend some time filling your own bucket back up and being around. Sometimes it's hard to fill our own buckets. Really, we have to get that from outside of us, right? So you guys that are out there, especially young people, but even old guys like me that were alive in the colonial days, 1776, that's my, there are ways that you can, places you can go, things you can do. Think about the things in your lives that you love that fill your bucket and do those things, right? As often as you can without taking away from the ability to reach out and help other people. But you can't help other people. It's the same thing I told you about with money. If you don't have enough of it, all you can think about is you. If you have enough, you can reach out and think about other people, right? So you have to focus on having enough for you in your bucket before you're able to really effectively reach out and help other people, right? So think about some of the ways in your lives right now that you feel like your buckets get filled. Like what makes you feel good, makes you feel recharged?
I go to the gym a lot with my boyfriend because I love working out.
She doesn't have a boyfriend. No, I'm just kidding. She does. It's hard for me, but she does.
But I go a lot with him, and also just being with him. Like, he's very much a battery to me. Like, when I'm feeling low or feeling like, I've run out of energy or, when I hit lows, he's probably one of the first people I go to now, just because he's someone that I know I can rely on. He charges my battery, makes me feel good, So definitely that, or even just like, sometimes I'll ask you to watch a movie with me, or like, just things like that, just like small things, because I'm not super energetic all the time. Like, I get really hyper sometimes, but I'm not like, I'm pretty chill most of the time. So just like things that I can do that are relaxing, but also just, let me have my brain be quiet, because when you have a brain like ours, I feel like it's always loud in there. Like, I always feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot going on all the time, so it exhausts me. But sometimes when I can just sit and like be at the gym and focus on, hitting a PR or focus on my workout, like I just don't have to think about what's going on in my head. I can just be like, I'm here in this moment doing this, and I don't have to focus on, all the screaming, being like, you have to do this, you did this wrong, all the things in the back of my head. So
the movie that we decompressed to, by the way, just last week was The Shining. So, it's not necessarily about the media. It's about the, together time, but it was, everyone has their own tune they want to sing. Maddie's that day was The Shining. So, okay. So, yeah, it is good though, to just have that. Like that's what recharges you. So you got to do those things. Sometimes it's hanging out with family. Sometimes it's your boyfriend. But find the things that do. Gracie, what about you? What's yours?
Definitely hanging out with like Lauren, my best friend, probably, because I don't know, she's been there with me since like the very beginning of where everything started to get super hard for me. She's always been there for me, and she knows exactly how to help me. She knows my favorite kind of food, even like just what to get me when I'm sad. Like she always gets me like my favorite donuts from the gas station. It's amazing.
And Dr. Pepper and Funyuns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But just like definitely one of my number one is like hanging out with my best friend. She knows how to help me with everything. She knows me so well as like a person. She probably might know me better than I know me at this point. I mean, I don't know. She just knows everything about me. One thing I'm definitely like trying to help myself like learn is that my family helps me recharge my battery. definitely I can find it like tiring sometimes because we fight a lot. But I
know.
I love being
We've
with
gotten
my
better.
family, and you guys definitely can like help me recharge my battery and all that. But it's definitely something I'm still like trying to get into my head because I always tell myself I'm like, no one's there for me, no one helps me like recharge my battery. Like I'm always just down all the time, and so it's definitely something I'm trying to like drill into my brain right now. But like I know that you guys like are always there to help me like recharge my battery, help me when I'm sad, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, probably just my best friend and you guys recharge my battery the most.
Good. So everybody that, in your lives, if you haven't identified what fills your bucket, talk to somebody about, about ways to sort of help you get to that point, that you can start to feel a little bit of yourself being recharged. Because if you're always running on empty, things can become really dire. They can feel really just solitary and feel like, I guess, kind of useless, right?
Yeah.
So I think that all of us, at some point, it's okay to feel a little selfish and to spend some time on ourselves, whether it's hanging out with other people that makes that happen, or going to the gym, or whatever it is. For me, I love to go to the gym. That recharges me. You guys have asked me, can I go to the gym with you?
Nope,
What do I
that's
say?
my me time.
Yeah, that's my time. Like,
Yep.
as much as I would love to work out with my kids, I need that time.
Yeah.
That's what fills me up.
But I don't think it's selfish. I think it's like, I don't know, like, it's like you said, like, if I don't take care of myself, then I don't have the ability to take care of you. So it's like, and I've learned that in a relationship, too. Like, that's just something I'm learning as a teenager. Like, if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of your relationship. And that's with everyone. I can't take care of my relationship with my dad, or with my sister, or with any of my other siblings, with my boyfriend, with my friends, none of it. If I'm not at my, like, at least at 50%, I can't take care of anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have something for me, and I have to take care of me. Because, if you're on empty, then
You're in survival mode.
yeah, exactly.
That's all.
Yeah,
It's the same thing with money. If you don't have any money, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah, so you don't have time to think about others.
If you're emotionally empty,
Yeah.
you're only trying to survive.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really important, you guys. And that's why I talk about, like, everyone should be in therapy. When I say therapy, it doesn't mean, I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, everyone's on lithium and everyone's just kind of crazy out there. What I mean is, like, when I say therapy, it doesn't necessarily mean, even going to a therapist or to a counselor. I think everyone should do that at some point to check in and make sure everything's tuned up. But do something therapeutic, right?
Yeah.
Go on a hike, do the things that fill your bucket, right? So you guys, as you get older, especially, Maddie, now you're graduating high school this year, and, and Gracie, you only have a couple years left. My goodness. So it's, you have to start really focusing on what fills your bucket as a, because eventually you'll be at a place where it's just you, right? It's like you don't have all the support network that you've grown up around. So creating those habits now will be beneficial, help you live a more fulfilled adult life, because you've learned how and what fills your bucket.
Yeah.
So keep working on that stuff. And if it's The Shining that we need to sit down and watch to fill the bucket, great. Hopefully, maybe it's more of a Disney movie, that's a little nicer, a little happier. I don't know. Bottom line is, whatever you guys need for me to help fill the bucket, because I have to do that. You guys know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to go in my room and close the door.
Yeah.
It doesn't keep you guys from knocking on it, but I sometimes need to be in there just to recharge for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not selfish. It might look from your guys' perspective, oh, Dad's in his room. But to me, it's not selfish because I need it,
Yeah.
to like feel like I'm not going to jump off a building, So it's okay to feel that way. You don't have to help everyone all the time. You can help yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You have to remember that. Whether it's medication, whether it's like, whether it's counseling, whether it's doing something, fun outdoors, whatever it is, help yourself. You have to help yourself first. You have to love yourself first before you have enough to really reach out and love everybody else.
Yeah.
So learn to love yourselves. because I love you. If you loved yourself as much as I love you, you guys would think you're the most amazing people on the planet. So if you can get to even half of that point, where you love yourself even half as much as I love you, that's, then you'll feel how wonderful you guys really are.
Thanks,
Yeah. I'm so proud of you two. I just want you to know that. It's difficult as a dad to watch my kids go through things knowing that many of the things that they go through come from my brain. But it's hard for me to watch those things. And I want to just be able to do all of it for you. And you'll know this someday when you have kids when I'm dead. Because there won't be any boys before then, right? But, when I'm dead and you guys then have kids, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's hard to watch. You want to do everything for them, I want to do everything for you guys. I used to always tell you, don't worry, Daddy's going to take care of everything for you. Remember that?
Yep.
As much as I want that to be true, I had to let you guys learn and teach you how to do things on your own.
Yeah.
And, but just now seeing the kind of strong girls, women that you are, makes me proud of you. And I know we still go through tough times.
Yeah.
Tough times, that's just part of the journey,
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey, everybody. These tough times, they'll pass, and then they'll come, and then they'll pass, and then they'll come again, right? But if we keep our buckets filled, if we keep our support network around us, if we know where to reach out to in times of crisis, we can get through it.
Yeah.
Right? So you guys, we're going to wrap it up here. But before we do, I want you guys just to think about one thing and talk just quickly about one thing in your life that you're most grateful for that makes you smile when you think about it.
I think something that I am most grateful for is, I don't know, not to toot my own horn, but my ability to communicate. I think that's something that not a lot of people have, and I think that that ability has saved my life countless times too. I think if I wasn't as talkative as I am, that I think that I would, I think that things would have gone a lot differently in my life. So I think that I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for even the weird things about my brain. I'm grateful for how my brain works, and I'm also grateful for the experiences I've been through. I guess it's 3 things, but I don't know, I don't know, if I didn't go through those things, then I wouldn't be me, and it's like you said, there's no regrets, things are hard, and sometimes during those times I wish that those things didn't happen to me, and I wish that I could have just, lived a smooth sailing life and, not have had to process those things, but I also know that I wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't be the Maddie that, that I am right now, so I am glad for who I am, and I'm glad for my brain. So
You are a talker. You're a good talker.
thank you.
No, you are. I mean, you talk a lot. We all know that. That's fine. That's just part of your thing, right? But you do have a really great ability to just sort of articulate what you're thinking and feeling, even if it's at a high volume, right?
Yeah.
You're still talking and
Thank you.
letting people know. So I'm proud of you for that. It's
Thank you.
awesome. Gracie, what about you? What makes you smile? What makes you feel good?
Thinking back on it, it's kind of like what Maddie said. Although I'm not very able to advocate for myself, I think one thing that I'm very grateful for is being able to build up the strength to speak out about things that need to be spoken out about, because so many things could have gotten way worse or gone really bad if I hadn't spoken out about experiences that have happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very grateful for that, because things could have gone so badly if I hadn't been able to be strong enough to speak up and talk about things. And then one other thing that I'm very grateful for is my family, because through everything, although we all fight, I've always been able to turn to all you guys to help me through everything, and you guys have always been there for me no matter what. and you guys are just one of the only things keeping me here all the time. I just think about you guys, and helps me push through a lot of stuff. So I'm very, very grateful for you guys and my family.
That makes me happy. I know things are hard, but it makes me happy to hear that you guys have things that you can grab onto and feel happy and thankful. There's always something, even in the darkest of times, that we can find that we can be thankful for. And sort of identifying those things up front so that you can hold on to them in dark times, I think is really important. So we're not grasping for something when it's dark that we haven't identified yet, right? So you guys always kind of have in your mind something that you are thankful for and something that's tangible that you can hold on to, because in times of, trouble, you'll need that. And again, if you feel desperate, you don't feel like you have anything that you can be thankful for, make the phone call. Use the modern technology and call 988 or call or reach out to SafeUT and make sure that you don't let them talk you through the things that are good, the things that will help you get through the crisis that you're feeling. You guys, thanks for being brave. Gracie, I know, so you guys, just so you know, Grace is just recently got over the fear of ordering her own food at a restaurant. She really does have a hard time speaking out. So the courage that it took for you especially to speak out about what was happening to you is so admirable. It makes me so proud. So all of you out there, all it takes is one time to pipe up and advocate for yourself, and it can change how the future goes. The future is different than it would have been, like you said, if you hadn't have said anything, if you hadn't have found your voice just for that one moment, right? So build on that. Know that you were strong enough then, and continue to build on that strength. You guys, I love you.
Love you too.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.
You guys, appreciate you listening, and comment if you have anything that you'd like to say or anything that you'd like to talk about. I respond to comments, and if you want to ask questions of the girls here, I'm sure they would love to talk to you as well. So we'll see you next time. Thanks very much for joining us on the Breaking Point podcast.